out on the beach in Northern California doing some seaweed harvesting. And this is a beautiful specimen of bullwhip kelp. A very edible and delicious kelp, especially really good for those people who have hypothyroid conditions. The iodine is really absorbable from here. So the rule with seaweed, if you're going to go harvesting, you bring a guide with you, and if you can do a positive ID on the seaweed, so you look in the book, you see what it looks like, you look at, you say, okay, I'm positive that's the right seaweed, that's great. You can take it home, dry it, it stores for a very long time. But if you cannot do a positive ID, you don't have a book, you don't know if it's edible or not, here's basically the way it works. If the seaweed is growing, so it's attached to a rock or it's attached to the sea floor, and you can harvest it without being in a mask scuba diving, then in almost every case it's edible. But if it's just washed up on the beach, the problem is some of the seaweeds that grow in deep waters can have toxins in them that can make you very sick. So once again, the rule is, if it washes up, you positive ID it, great, eat it. If not, make sure you're pulling it off from where it's growing. And my favorite way to eat seaweed is just like this, fresh out of the ocean. Soft, delicious, sweet, melts in your mouth pretty much. Once you dry it, it gets really hard, really chewy. So the way that I harvest this, I take the strands of bullwhip kelp, just pull them right off. This is a little air float that keeps it above the ocean floor. And all these little strands of bullwhip kelp are going to be really, really amazing. Once they're dried, they'll store for so long. And then you can use this part as poi. So what I'm talking about as far as harvesting seaweed goes, if it's attached to a rock or this is growing here, it's attached to this rock, so you know it's not going to be poisonous. Some wonderful little starfish down there. And then if you come over and look on this side, we have some more seaweed attached to a rock. And so this would actually be an edible because it's attached to the rock, and something that has just floated up, you don't know if that's edible or not. So here we have some what looks like lavalier, and this is what they make nori from, those nori sheets that we love so much. Started out looking like this. This one's attached somewhere down there. Fresh nori. It does look very purple.
What do you think it is?
I can't make a positive ID, but it might be dulse.
But if you can't make a positive ID,
don't eat it, because you never know. It washed up. I didn't actually pull it off a rock. But if I had pulled this one off a rock, I'd be biting into it right now. So this is really my lucky day, because what I just found washed up on a beach is a sea palm. These are the delicious sea palm fronds. So what I'm going to do is harvest just the tips of these sea palm fronds. And they're really an exotic seaweed. I'm going to eat a little bit right now while it's still fresh. Yummy, nutritious. And look, there's another one that's washed up right there. Still fresh. This one's a little fresher. Okay, we have our bullwhip kelp that we just harvested, and it's still nice and wet. And I washed it in the salt water before bringing it back to the vehicle. It's much better to wash the seaweed in the salt water in a pristine or clean ocean area rather than washing it in fresh water, because leaving the salt on it helps preserve the seaweed. So what I want to do is I want to dry it and preserve it. So I'll take my kelp and lay it out on trays like this. And these are starting to dry already. I just laid them here about an hour ago. And then, believe it or not, I take my seaweed and I put it up in the dashboard so the sun can bake on it, and it acts like a dehydrator. And in just a couple of days I'll have some really nice dried out kelp that I can store in a sealed bag or a container for years, and it'll keep. And if I want to rehydrate it and make a seaweed salad out of it, I can do that, or I can break it up into little pieces and sprinkle it on top of the salad the way it is. Whatever you do, it's a great source of minerals, it's a great food, it's easy to store, which is a key.
Sun is on the rise, open up your eyes, drink it in.
Moi, j'aime beaucoup manger de la nourriture vivante, en fait. C'est pas comme aller au supermarché. Toutes ces algues qui sont ici, elles sont déjà détachées, donc je les ramasse pas, quoi. C'est pour ça que j'emmène des ciseaux, et toutes les algues que je ramasse, je les coupe moi-même. C'est pas comme les champignons, il n'y a pas d'algues qui sont toxiques en elles-mêmes. Je laisse le crampon accroché au rocher. Je découpe au ciseau pour que ça puisse repousser d'une année à l'autre. Les algues que je ramasse, il y a des algues brunes, il y a des algues vertes et des algues rouges. On découvre vraiment des nouvelles saveurs parce que déjà c'est différent des végétaux qu'on peut manger habituellement, mais en plus chaque algue est différente. J'en ramasse plusieurs sortes, hein. Comme on a vu, il y a le kombu breton, il y a le kombu royal, donc ce sont les grandes laminaires. Là, tu les cuis. J'aime bien faire des lasagnes avec les grands kombus, là, ça se prête bien à ça. Sinon, on a vu aussi les spaghettis de mer. Ça, c'est, tu les cuis comme des spaghettis. Tu peux faire un plat spaghettis de mer, spaghettis de terre. Tu mélanges les deux. Tout à l'heure, je pense faire une tarte, une quiche. Et je vais en mettre, donc je vais mettre un peu de pointe comme ça de fucus. Dans les algues vertes, je ramasse la laitue de mer. Je vais prendre un petit peu aussi pour mettre dans la quiche. Le cheveu de mer aussi. Le poivre de mer, par exemple, c'est quelque chose de très fort en goût. Cette toute petite algue là, en forme de fougère, qu'on trouve accrochée en haut des rochers. Délicieux. C'est très différent de la dulce, par exemple. C'est mon algue préférée, celle-là. C'est vraiment la saison idéale. Elle est toute jeune. Quand je vais faire ma cueillette, souvent les gens sont surpris parce que aux grandes marées, ici, on a l'habitude plutôt d'aller ramasser des crabes, des ormeaux, des crevettes, mais pas des algues. Donc ça surprend toujours les gens, mais ils sont intéressés. Et de plus en plus, on voit des personnes qui proposent de faire découvrir les algues aux personnes. Et ça intéresse de plus en plus de monde. Alors, ma recette préférée, c'est la tarte aux algues. C'est très facile à faire, hein. Il suffit de faire une pâte brisée et puis je mets les algues que je trouve. Bon, aujourd'hui, ça va être fucus, la dulce et la laitue de mer. Je mets aussi des oignons, donc de la crème fraîche, des œufs, un peu de lait et puis du fromage aussi, de la feta ou un autre fromage. Les algues, ça apporte beaucoup de minéraux, d'oligo-éléments, des fibres, des protéines. Quand on est végétarien, c'est intéressant. C'est aussi les saveurs, les nouveaux goûts qu'on peut découvrir en mangeant des algues. C'est un plaisir aussi supplémentaire. Et voilà, c'est prêt, c'est la tarte aux algues.
A rocky beach, sunny waves, it's what we soak in from the shoreline, a beautiful sunny vista. But others may argue it's what's under the water that holds even more beauty.
A lot of people call me the Pacific mermaid, but I spend a lot of time in the ocean, that's for sure.
Amanda Swiminer is a marine biologist, an herbalist, and an absolute expert when it comes to seaweed.
I had a real fascination with wildcrafting, and I've always been obsessed with the ocean since I can remember. So when I realized that I could start wild harvesting the plants of the ocean, it was like these two beautiful things came together, and I haven't looked back since.
This Pacific mermaid has been harvesting bull and winged kelp for food out in Muir Creek, which is near Souk, for 10 seasons. This is her underwater garden. Today the tide is low, so Amanda and her apprentice Gwen are out bringing in the seaweed.
When I started harvesting seaweed, I desperately searched out someone to teach me, and there was no one. So it's a real passion of mine to be able to share my knowledge. These fronds that are growing laterally off the stite, those are the sporophylls, and that's how it reproduces.
Amanda works for the most part with the kelp family. So this time of year she's harvesting alaria, which is also known as winged kelp. So after she's taken it from the ocean, she'll bring it to her vehicle, drive to her house, and now it's ready for step 2. Step 2 is drying the seaweed out, prepping it to eat. This seaweed Amanda gathered today will take about 36 hours to dry.
But you can use it for anything from soaking and wrapping salmon, baking your fish inside it, to grinding it up and using it as a seasoning instead of salt. You can be creative with it for sure.
Amanda sells her seaweed in sheets, but for those who aren't a fan of the fishy taste, she has an alternative: seaweed flakes.
You need very little a day to get the health benefits. As little as 3 to 5 grams a day, which of the flakes, that's about not even a teaspoon.
And the health benefits are huge. It's said alaria is the highest source of calcium on the planet. It's also high in vitamins A, B, C, E, and K. It contains sodium alginate, a compound that binds to certain heavy metals and safely clears them from the body. And some studies have even shown anti-cancer activity in this seaweed.
The kelps are my absolute passion within seaweeds. I just really resonate with the kelps.
But Amanda warns, if you're going to harvest seaweed, get a bit of training first. If someone were to mistakenly rip up the alaria from her sea garden, it would be gone in no time. And that's only one concern.
The land here is not protected, and the logging, there's been extensive logging which has led to a lot of landslides. And that affects the seaweed because the landslides throw a lot of silt down the creek. And if the seaweed gets too covered with silt, it can't photosynthesize and it'll eventually smother.
Amanda's been trying to get this area protected as a park. She feels there's been progress, but still waits for the day when she can harvest her underwater garden worry-free. Out near Souk, I'm Jen Moranitz for The Daily.